All right, guys, so we've talked about graphing to solve a system, elimination, and substitution to solve a system. So now you have to decide, all right, which method is the best by looking at the problem. So we're going to use all three methods, all right, and just depending on the problem, we'll decide which one's best. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is like, hey, can you decide what's the best thing to do? Well, solving the system of equations, if I give you something like this, y equals 2x minus 4, y equals negative 1/3 x plus 3. I want you to pause the video. I want you to try and solve this equation, what you think is the best way. So you have graphing, substitution, or elimination. So hopefully you paused it and you tried the video. I would say the best method, right? You can pick one or the other. I would say it's either going to be graphing because it's already in y equals mx plus b form. Both of them are. Or you could also use substitution. I can sub in the y for the other y. All right, so if we graph it, we know negative 4 is down here. I'm going to go up 2, right 1, because that's my slope. Up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, right? Until you made your line. The other one would be, I start at positive 3. I go down 1, right 3, down 1, right 3. Well, if you graph it, you can clearly see they're going to intersect at 3, 2. So that should be my answer. All right, but if I wanted to double check it, I could also use substitution. Some of you might have used that. So substitution, I would say, let's plug in this for this y. So I'm going to say negative 1/3 x plus 3 equals 2x minus 4. All right, well, I'm going to subtract 2x, subtract 3. So you're going to get negative. So guys, I would convert this to a fraction. I would make this 6 over 3. So it's going to be negative 7/3 equals negative 7. That's an x. Now to get rid of a fraction, you can multiply by the reciprocal. So I just flip it on both sides. When you do that, you get x equals, so that would cancel. That's the whole point of multiplying by the reciprocal. It would cancel that to where you had just x left on the right or left-hand side. And on the right, whenever you multiply, you would type that into your calculator. You're going to get 3. So my x is 3. So now just plug it into one of the equations. I'm going to plug it into the top one. Y equals 2 times 3 minus 4, because it was 2x, but we know x is 3. Y equals 6 minus 4. Y equals 2. So if you use substitution, you would get the same answer. If you use graphing, you get the same answer. All right. So for that problem, because they're both in y equals mx plus b form, I would either use substitution or graphing. All right, next one. Solve the system of equations. Here's a new one. X minus 4y equals 5. 3x plus 2y equals 29. So go ahead and pause the video. You decide what you think is the best method. Well, for me, on this one, I would either use substitution or elimination. And to use either one, you got to do a little bit of work. The thing that I like about this one is I would probably use elimination just because the negative 4y and the 2y, right? One's negative, one's positive. I just got to multiply this equation by 2. So now I'm going to have x minus 4y equals 5. That equation did not change. This is going to be 6x plus 4y equals 58. Well, if you notice, now when I add them, right, my y's are going to cancel. I'm going to get 7x equals 63. Divide by 7. X is 9. So now I can plug that back into one of the equations. I'm going to plug it into the first one. I'm going to say 9 minus 4y equals 5. Subtract 9. Negative 4y equals negative 4. Divide by negative 4. Y is 1. So the answer would be 9, 1. If you use substitution, all right, what I would do is I would add this 4y over and get x equals 5 plus 4y. So now I can substitute that then into the other equation. So I'm going to say 3 times 5 plus 4y plus 2y equals 29. So I substituted the 5 plus 4y in for the x in the other equation. And now we just solve it. So we would distribute 15 plus 12y plus 2y equals 29. I would subtract 15. And I would combine like terms. I get 14y equals 14 divided by 14. Would you look at that? Y is 1. So now I could plug it back into this equation and get 5 plus 4 times 1 equals x, which is 9. So you get the same answer. All right, but graphing is probably not your best solution here because it's not y equals mx plus b form. So I would use substitution or elimination, just whichever one you feel most comfortable with. All right, last one. Best method in y. We just talked about it. So here's your last problem. I would encourage you to pause it and try and solve it. So x minus 2y equals 8. X equals 5 minus y. Right, kind of like the last one, I would probably use substitution on this one though instead of elimination. But you could use elimination if you wanted to. You just have to move the y over. But I think substitution is the best here because you already got x equals. So I'm going to sub that in for that x up here. I'm going to say 5 minus y minus 2y equals 8. So I'm going to subtract 5, combine by like terms. I get negative 3y equals 3. I'm going to divide by negative 3 and get y equals negative 1. So now I'm going to plug that into here. I'm going to say x equals 5 minus a negative 1. X equals 5 plus 1. So x is 6. So the answer is 6, negative 1. Now the nice thing about these guys, don't forget on systems, you can always plug it back in to double check it and make sure it works. Right? I guarantee if you went back and checked all the ones that we've done so far, the answer would work for both equations. So that's how you know you did it correctly. All right, if you guys have any questions, there's a short homework assignment. It's 6 problems, and you have to decide which method is best and explain why that's the best method. Okay? If you have any questions, make sure you're asking Ms. Sanders or myself for help. With that being said, hope you guys have a great day.